All right, I'm finally getting around to this. This is a mini amp from Diezel. It's called the VH Micro. Welcome back, I'm Tony, and yeah, this is the VH Micro from Diezel. It is another of the mini amps. I believe there are 4 of them that are out right now. I've got 3 of them, and we already looked at the Friedman mini amp. You can check out the link that's popping up right here for that. I also have the Bogner, which I haven't even taken out of the box yet because I've got so many other things to test, and this, I've just been enjoying it. Now, of course, I've got the ENGL 25 over here, the Fireball. This is a great amp, and it is a tube amp, and this is considered small by regular amp standards. It's 25 watt head, and the larger sibling of it would take up the entire top of this cabinet. Surprisingly though, this sounds almost as good as that ENGL Fireball 25, and in some respects, maybe slightly better. Now, is an amp like this made for gigging? Probably not, especially if you have to play any kind of clean tones, because there is no clean channel on this whatsoever. It's just gnarly, balls to the wall metal. And I am totally okay with that. So if you've got a large rig that is, like a 100 watt head and you can't play that thing inside your condo, apartment, or whatever, this is a great little companion. And it could be a backup for those nights where you're just doing metal stuff all night. I'd also say that this would be good if you're a beginner because amps can be expensive. If you can afford a small cabinet in this, you'd be set. All right, well, let's take a closer look at it. Let's give you the rundown. Obviously, you got your power right there, your master right here, and you'll notice how low I have this. I live in a condo with this Marshall 412 cab, which is a JCM 800 lead 1960. Playing in my small studio in my condo, it really does not need to be any louder than that. I mean, I'll take it louder than that, but I do have neighbors. Packed inside this little powerhouse is 30 watts, and this one over here, the ENGL, that's only 25 watts. I'm playing them at the same volume in this room, and the master on this is actually higher, so plenty of power to spare with the VH Micro. So going left to right, we've got your power switch right here, your master, and your deep, your presence, bass, middle, treble, that's your 3-band EQ, and your gain. Now, usually I'm running the gain probably around right there, but sometimes I like to give it just a little bit more. I run it between 1 and 2 o'clock. Now, deep on this, deep and presence pretty much work together. Deep is something specific to Diezel. And basically, deep is your low end, and the presence, obviously, is your high end for your power amp. And then you can further dial in your EQ right there. Now, like I said, I don't own any of their other amps, but from what I understand, it pretty much mimics the VH4 type of tone, and it totally sounds like tube to me. Possibly part of that is because it uses the preamp section from their other amps like the VH4. All right, let's flip it around. And I mean, it's just so small. It's really easy to pick up. It's got a little hole right here in the back. Each one of them does. All of them are pretty much the same like that. We've got an effects loop back here and your 2 speakers, as well as power. Okay, so this is pretty much how I have it set most of the time when I'm playing here, bedroom type setting. I mean, it's got a nice crunch to it, and there is no other effects on the chain or anything like that, just straight up with this amp. So let's turn it up just a tiny bit. All right, so digging that. All right, so what we're gonna do now, let's go ahead and let's just show you the deep here. All right, so the deep is turned all the way down. Now let's go ahead. I mean, you can hear it just fattens it up. The presence is going to give it some sizzle, so we'll turn that up just a little bit. I like to keep that deep just around 11 o'clock. Let's go ahead, let's see here. Yeah, you get a little bit more more sizzle with that treble. So listen, the 3-band equalizer it's really very active. But the gain, now let's turn that all the way down. Okay, so gain is all the way down. When the gain is all the way down, you get nothing. Just turn it up a little bit. So you might be able to get some AC/DC tones and stuff like that. So let's take it up just a little bit here. All right, that's pretty good. Let's take it up even more. If that's good, more is better, right? And that's kind of pretty much about it. There isn't a whole lot more to it. It's a pretty simple situation, you know. It's if you're, look, I was a metal kid, and so this amp would have just been absolutely perfect for me. You know, you're not going to be able to do any clean stuff with it, but it's damn good if you want that chug. I don't know, some might say it's a novelty. For me, it was a chance to get a taste of what their amps are really like. And if this little amp sounds that good, well, I can only imagine how nice it is to play on one of their full-size amps. So there we go, the Diezel Mini, and I will have that Bogner one on here. I think they're all made in the same factory. All the boxes are the same. Let me show you the two boxes that I actually have here. This is the one for the Diezel. It's exactly the same as the Friedman mini amp, at least the box from it. And then here's the Bogner box, and again, looks exactly the same. So I'm guessing that they're probably made in the same factory by the same manufacturer, just using the proprietary setup that each company has chosen for them. Now, as a youngster, I had a little Fender 10-watt sidekick amp, and then, I don't know, I had something along the line, maybe a PV, and then mom and dad sprung for a Marshall MOSFET head. I must have been around 16, 17 years old. And boy, that really changed things for me. But that was very expensive. I think back then the head was $600, $700, $800, and this $250. So, I mean, you know, if you're on a budget and you like to play metal, this thing would be perfect for that. Again, you can take the gain down all the way, but even then, you're never going to get a full clean tone, you know? Another thing that affected me when I first started playing is I really wanted to sound like the bands that I listened to, Scorpions, Judas Priest, Van Halen, all that kind of stuff, and the amps that I was using just couldn't do that, even with a good distortion on there or overdrive or whatever. And as you probably know, sounding like what you want to sound like is huge inspiration and definitely helps you to progress. So if I'd have had something like that, boy, that might have made a big difference. Now you can find this mini amp along with the other mini amps, the Bogner, the Friedman, and I think the other one is Soldano, on the usual suspects, Guitar Center, Sweetwater, Z-Sounds, all that stuff. And it's going to be the same price pretty much everywhere. I think this one was $250. I gotta say, I really like the sound from this thing, so if I'm ever looking for another tube head, I may be going with this brand. Even today, I'm a big fan of people like Adam Jones from Tool, and he uses these amps, so hey, look, if it's good enough for him, it's probably good enough for me. So that's the Diezel VH Micro, and I just want to thank you so much for your support here on the channel. Likes, comments, shares, subscriptions. Always very important to my channel because it helps with the algorithm, so if you want to help me to do more content like this, go ahead and give this video a like, and, well, you might as well subscribe while you're at it and leave a comment. And if you hit the notification bell as well, well, you get notifications when I upload new videos. I've got a whole bunch more guitar content planned for the channel. As a matter of fact, I've got a Firefly guitar. If you haven't heard of them, their guitars are, what, $189? This was $2,300, $400. So, I mean, you know, hey, listen, even if it's not super great, you can still do some work on them to make them great. But so far, from my experience, it's pretty great right out of the box. So do stay tuned for that. I really appreciate it. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We'll catch you next time on the Vapor Trail channel.